Of course, Louis's first memories to me was what he didn't remember the L7 cowboys because they had been the L7 had phased out by 1910. But the DZ Ranch, which was headquartered over by McIntosh, I think, they ran steers all over that country down there where these homesteaders were. They would come around and eat dinner and stop in for meals with the homesteaders. So that was some of my grandpa's first memories, was when he was a really small boy, that he remembered the DZ Cowboys showing up at their place to eat with them and share a meal. He did tell one story. He said, when they first came, they ate a lot of beans and rice and sometimes rabbits or whatever they could kill. He said there wasn't a lot of deer at that time. They were all mostly gone. So he said that every once in a while the steers looked pretty good to these homesteaders, and he never flat admitted it, but I know that they ate some DZ beef from time to time. And they were really nervous the one time when a couple of DZ Cowboys showed up to eat with them, and they all sat down at the meal, and his mother, my great-grandma, had prepared steak, and and they were all nervous because they knew that they didn't have any beef. They didn't own anything but some milk cows and stuff, and so pretty soon they were all sitting down, and I suppose after they said grace, the first cowboy, he leaned over and he said, "Pass the DZ," and they all started laughing, and they realized that they were in safe company, that they could go ahead and do this without worrying about wondering where this meal had come from, this steak had come from. So Grandpa always told that story, Emma, Louis's wife, Emma, my grandma, was a very, very big part of his life and his family, of course. And actually, Louis was 31 years old and Emma was 30 years old, and they were actually pretty close neighbors. I think Emma grew up about 4 or 5 miles to the west from where Louis grew up. Her name was Wills, Emma Wills. Her family came in 1910 also, and Louis said that they both waited so long nobody else would have them, so they decided to get married, and they did. They had a good life together and a good family, and raised 5 children. And so Emma was always she was a housewife. I don't ever remember my grandma doing anything except the chickens and the garden outside. She didn't ride horse, and she didn't drive a car or a pickup at all. She just took care of the cooking and the cleaning and raising the children in a very traditional way, and she was always a pleasure to be around. Where Grandpa probably wasn't always a pleasure, she was very pleasant to go into her house and play cards with her and listen to her play the piano and play music and look at the mail with her, and she was such good memories of Emma and her life there on the ranch with my grandpa. I think that was probably the first time that Ed Lemon spoke to my grandpa. He was just a little kid, and I think my grandpa thought being a cowboy was he was just a little small farm boy, from Iowa, and that was his first, I think that was probably the first time he wanted to be a cowboy. It's been the Boss Cowman celebration, and the Boss Cowman honoree is an important deal to this community, and it's important in that it recognizes the contributions that the people in this community have made to this community.